Hey guys, Cameron with CBM Reviews here, and I'm here for the newest review slash recap for you. This is episode 6 of WandaVision. I'm going to tell you the story plots and the things that really stood out to me, so don't go anywhere. Before we hop into it, I just want to thank you for clicking on this. If you're a fan of this sort of thing, hit that like and subscribe button. You want to know as soon as I put something out, hit that notification bell. So this is of course right off of the heels of episode 5. And there were so many implications as to what is possibly going to happen now that we have new Pietro slash Fox Quicksilver. It's a little odd because this is a Quicksilver that has all of the memories and things of the Marvel Quicksilver, which we find out later on in the episode. But we're not talking about the implications as to what's going to happen down the line. As far as universes intertwining, this is mainly talking about Wanda and her kids, Pietro and Vision. There are some other things that happen, but they're not talking about possible universes and mutants just yet. We start off, and this is straight up Malcolm in the Middle. I loved it. Like when I was watching, I was like, holy crap. Like when you think of 90s sitcoms, that's one that was like super huge, but a lot of people overlook, and I'm so glad that they went there with this one. It is Halloween, and they are getting ready to do some trick-or-treating. Wanda is in her classic comic book Scarlet Witch costume. Vision is in a very comical Vision costume. Like it's a little cringe with the, you know, short basketball shorts, but we understood where they were going with it. And then Billy, is it Billy? I think it's Billy. And Billy is in like a he's in his Wiccan costume. Like I saw him on screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's dressed up as a Wiccan. And then they're getting ready to go out and trick or treat, and Vision wants to go patrol, but really he's trying to figure out exactly what's going on. And since there needs to be another chaperone, in comes Big Brother Pietro, and Wanda's like, you don't have a costume. And he goes, zip, zap, and he comes back and he's wearing the closest come up to a classic Quicksilver costume. It was a nod that I was like, yes! So anyway, they're going trick-or-treating, and Uncle Pietro is doing all of the Halloween pranks. He's taking all the candy at super speed. He's silly-stringing everybody. He's smashing pumpkins. Another 90s nod. And he's causing that, you know, mayhem that uncles, you know, without kids are good for. Like the good trouble, not the bad uncles.
Oh, goody.
Meanwhile, Vision is getting a glimpse of the neighborhood outside of their small little circle, and he's finding some odd things happening. He's finding some neighbors that are trying to do things, but they're incomplete, and so they're repeating, and the one woman that I'm talking about, like, she starts crying because she's trying to hang something up, and she keeps missing and going back and forth. It's really peculiar. And the further he goes out, the less movement that he sees. He sees people that are just like petrified and just like staring into nothingness almost, it feels like. And I'm gonna keep going in a second, but we wanna go what's going on outside the Hex. So we have Agent Wu, Darcy, and we have Monica. They are trying to figure out how to talk to Wanda, how to get her to stop all this, because the way that Monica figures, if she's the problem, she can also be the solution. Meanwhile, Hayward is... Okay, so I didn't think he was as big of a D as a lot of people did whenever he first came in episode 4, but the more and more that each episode comes out, the more and more of a bigger D he is. And this one was like super D. Like Wanda just aimed all the guns on him, and instead of him being like, okay, we may need to stand down and reassess what we need to do, he's like, nope, we gotta go even harder. America! Yeah! And he then kicks Monica, Jimmy, and Darcy like out of the compound. And Monica's like, yeah, he was looking for an excuse to sideline us. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Jimmy and Monica like beat up some sword guys, and they put on their clothes because they're gonna go check some stuff out. And one of the things that they do when they check some stuff out is they look at some of the current episode that's happening, but they also, Darcy hacks into Hayward's computer, and there's some things that she finds out. Although there's one big thing that I don't think that they got to. It's the carrot at the end of the string. Monica gets the call. Her vehicle's been completed, so she's gonna go over the ridge with Jimmy, and they're gonna figure it out. Darcy's like, I'm gonna stick around here, try to get through this last file, because it turns out that Hayward was able to look into the hex this whole time. He just never told anyone. Jerk face. They're going out to go do that, and back inside the hex, Vision is getting towards the edge of town, and Agnes is there, and she's just kind of like numb and not moving like everybody else, which is odd because she's been kind of like one of the focal points of this whole time. Vision does the same thing that he does earlier in the last episode and wakes her up, and she remembers him. She's like, you're Vision, you're one of the Avengers. And remember, Vision can't remember anything before they got married. He's like, what's an Avenger? And then she's like, how are you alive? You're dead. And he's like, what? She's like, you're dead. You're dead.
We're dead! We're dead! We're survived, but we're dead!
And she starts getting hysterical, so Vision puts her back kind of in the trance, so to speak. And he says, I'm gonna solve this. I'm gonna fix this. So he starts heading outside the hex. The one thing that Wanda was like, don't do this. You don't want to know what's outside. So he starts heading outside. Everything is trying to pull him back in. Remember, Hayward can look inside the hex, so he saw that Vision was about to breach the perimeter. So he's like, hey, Goon Squad, let's go out here and check this out. So they go out and they're just observing. As Vision breaks through the barrier, everything is trying to fight to pull him back in. So much so he starts breaking apart. And you can kind of like see in his body a little bit. It almost looks like it's like energy, like a yellowish energy, kind of like similar to the Mind Stone, but we know it can't be the Mind Stone. But yeah, he's like breaking off, and Hayward's just like, man, he's really trying to get out of there. And Darcy's like, Vision's about to die, so she runs out from where she is, and she gets put into custody, so to speak. She is handcuffed to a truck. Jerk face. So Vision's pulling apart. Monica and Jimmy are headed to this contact. We're gonna see who this is. This is gonna be a surprise for next time. And this is where the twins, their powers on this Halloween night, they manifest. Tommy has super speed, and he starts running around and he's having a ball. And of course, Uncle Pietro's there to kind of help him and guide him to things. And when Vision starts pulling apart, that's when Billy can feel his dad is in trouble, and he lets Wanda know. And Wanda's like, where's your dad? And he's like, I don't know. So then Wanda does the one thing that everybody should have been scared of this entire time. She goes from like this small little suburban hexagon and expands. Anybody that's within a decent amount of radius is now in the hex. So a lot of sword agents, they were trying to get out. They don't quite make it. And because they set up a compound right outside of the hex, it becomes like the carnival. So now it is the Halloween carnival. So a lot of sword agents become clowns, as if they weren't clowns before. And we don't see what happens to Darcy. She gets pulled into the hex too, but we don't know exactly what's gonna happen with her. Hayward and a couple of agents make it out, and Monica and Jimmy were already kind of on the outskirts, so it doesn't affect them. But now this hexagon has widened, and this has become a much, much bigger problem than it was before. So we don't know, well, we do know that Vision's okay, because we saw that he kind of got turned back, but we don't know what repercussions that's going to have with the two of them, because they've been kind of fighting this whole episode. Also, Pietro isn't exactly the way that Wanda remembers, and she kind of has this frustration with him. Like, she doesn't quite like him that much. Like, she doesn't feel that connection like she did with Aaron Taylor Johnson, which is funny because they actually make a Kick-Ass reference, because both Aaron Taylor Johnson and Evan Peters were in Kick-Ass. It was funny. I liked it. I laughed a little bit. This has been a very eye-opening and advantageous episode. Things have ratcheted up thanks to Hayward and his incompetence, and now we're about to see really what is going to go down. We're going to see how much Agnes is really a part of this, because at first we thought she was kind of pulling strings, but maybe it was Wanda that was making her do it. Also, if Darcy ever finally gets into the firewall that Hayward has, we might be able to see exactly what is on his hidden file. And we're going to see who Monica's secret person is that engineered whatever they're going to have, because she's ready to save Wanda and in essence save everybody in the town. So that is my review / recap of episode 6 of WandaVision. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel and share this with your friends. As always, this is Cameron with CBM Reviews. We'll see you next time.